Hey, this time we're gonna speak about fascism and fascists, Nazis, nationalism a bit. I don't really know much about nationalism except that whatever's national is important, and it tends to diverge to racist, supremacist stuff. So Uh, what I wanted more to talk about or put in evidence is a common tool or a way of doing things that they both have, Nazis and fascists, that are both most of the time, if not all the time, narcissists or pervert narcissists. Uh, that manipulate people in order to fulfill what their person and ego demands for them to look good or something, or for often a hierarchic valorization purpose. And then another thing they have in common is the tendency to invade further and further and further and further, and to kind of touch the whole planet in some sort of way, or most of the planet, with the methods and game they are teaching and playing. They were and are still playing. So for that, you need to understand a bit what the context of Nazis and fascists is, because after the Third Reich, if it ever stopped, after the Second World War, Europe was ruined, the economy wasn't too good, and everything moved to the States. Even the Beaux-Arts Academy that was in Paris moved to New York. That was the avant-garde of art and stuff like that. And like expression, culture, what makes people have an identity and communicate. So they have both a tendency to attack culture, uh, scare people, manipulate people, and act in an egoistic way. And yeah, why narcissists? Because narcissists love themselves a lot, so they'll always be behaving in order to maintain their beautiful image they love so much and the effect they have on people. They are often very charismatic people with a strong personalities. The guy shouting before the show when nobody was talking, he starts blah 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 blah, blah out loud and attracting attention. They're good to to gather a group's focus and to manipulate crowds and groups and to link people in a toxic way. Uh, and just some sort of a downward spiral that drags the good night down, like I think is what they mean on her baseball bat. This is Harley Quinn. I don't have one of the Joker, but that would be Nazism and fascism is Harley Quinn and the Joker. And it's written good night, as in nighttime, but in war periods and alchemical circumstances and for secrecy and hiding or doing or planning or thinking of stuff that would be punishable if proven. Well, this way you cannot prove, but the message clearly goes through. And even if it's found, the message makes it to destination anyways. It's just that somebody else is also aware if he coded the bird language message or the subliminal second meaning or context of a spoken phrase or written language. So they'll. One thing to know about Nazis and fascists is that they are united. Back when I was younger, that was this song that would play in punk stations, and they would say, "Unity is fascism," and it made me think. And looking at how I'm North American, I'm Canadian from the Quebec province, in the French-speaking province. So what was I supposed to say with that? I'm not too far from Detroit City in the United States, Detroit, and the Red Wings of Detroit is close to our border in Canada, but you have to, it's about 5 hours from there to Quebec. Yeah, so the bird language or the context is a way to communicate in front of people that don't read or pay attention to that, or just and they're also often taught to laugh at that or to discard it. No matter what reason you give, they'll always discard it, put it aside, put it off, run away, cut the discussion, cut you off, do anything just not to talk about it or not learn fuck all about it. They'll never make links and start understanding. If I've been spending months sending vocal messages to my mom that I consider being the Virgin Mary. Like nobody ever fucked with her. She knows nothing about manipulation and evil and their techniques and their tongue and the way they speak, the way they behave, what a swindler is. She's got, the worst that happened to her was to get her bicycle stolen, and that doesn't even implicate seeing or interacting with anybody evil or with bad intentions. And then being a good citizen, she's also with TV, the way TV, local TV will protect people's mind and give them a hat and a coat with a hoodie and a fur with a Canadian coat kind of thing. And then there's a Quebec undercoat to keep you dry from the rain, metaphorically speaking. And then a hat or a scarf. Well, by the way, this video gives away a free turquoise scarf and a black overcoat. Right? You'll receive it any minute from now. So welcome to this world. So where was I? I wasn't where yet, but where I was. That's brilliant. Playing around with words, doing anagrams, or focusing your energy on a certain order of letters within a word. So whoever is in a meditative state where he's being almost like a zombie looking, but it's because you're taking all the feeling out of your eyes and trying to get every muscle of your face not to contract on purpose, to get them to contract by themselves and to give the expression that's really shown and what's happening. So when you do that, and with music or sound associated with staying numb or blobby, you feel what the vibrations do inside of you, and they push you in a certain direction. Sometimes they'll put a certain object into evidence, and that you kind of have to be some sort of black zone or inner self, inner kind of contact with your mind, kind of meditative state. And the narcissists, are always in that state. And that state allows you to communicate. You have a button that's kind of like shooting, when you can feel the button, you just press on what you want on that, and you're in command, so so why was I saying that? So that's what they want to try to do, is got it on top of you all the time. They're in this constant game, narcissistic game of being the dominant. Dominiques are often narcissists and supporting. Most narcissists, if not all, will support fascist intimidation techniques and violence and the destruction and rotting stuff and whatever, dismantling movements, and they'll use those methods too. I have trouble remembering at the time where I'm in. So they are united, and unity was fascism, but now we have United States, and we have United Nations, and people are playing this game where you can't touch love. This love, and lots of people don't even feel the love. Their sexual chakra is not awakened. Because of TV, it keeps them shut, and then the actors, their role play makes you behave and react at a moment where you're practically never open. And an open mind is a functioning mind. Yes, you can impregnate negative stuff and get evil tricks done on you when you're that way. You're vulnerable. But you have to know how to put yourself away from vulnerability and not accept intrusions and not believe in them and be stronger, kind of thing. But that's when you can kind of get in contact, and you can see where the people, when you're alpha, most of them are alpha type of a person. They're kind of masterminds because the way they interact with you is they get on top of your cockpit of your antenna, where you have a dot where there's love on top, and that's your father's ass. They always get you not to touch love, but when you see someone, you see like this is the problem. But they taught you not to ever touch that feeling. If you feel it, you might be just getting energy, taking it, 2,000, 20,000, 4,000, a million, 2 million, 5 million. I'll be coming back. So since they're united, they need a way to communicate, and they can relate to one another and connect real fast and be able to communicate. You'll think I'm crazy, and they'll be the first ones to say that I need a psychiatrist and that I'm schizophrenic. And in fact, I'm seeing a psychiatrist, and she doesn't want to give me the schizophrenic diagnosis. She gives me 4 milligrams of Aldol. I hear voices. I want to hear those voices. I'm not talking about it to her. I like hearing what they plan on doing with me, and I noticed that those were instructions, and I like to hear what they're instructing my mind to say, my subconscious mind. Otherwise, if you don't hear it, you automatically obey something and start behaving unconsciously according to somebody else's will. And you're placing the order, the people, the sequences, the groups, and you become some sort of maid that classes everything you need into some sort of structure that maintains his supremacy. And it's kind of the wolf pack way is a very fascist way. It's a dominant way. They always have to dominate you. And the easy way is to be yourself and to just honest and innocent, like John, the Apostle John. He had this way of speaking that would repel evil and clean good and balance off forces and put everything where it should be and correct evil changes that have been brought to your dynamic and when you move and how you move and what you move. And there's a lot of things that can change in that state of mind. And to being in contact with your telephone, with yourself or your higher self. So they play with that. And when they're your parents, they just think whatever and you're doing it. And you're under the control kind of thing of abduction, you know. And I get the problem all the time with the punks. And when it's the other rooster or the other chief, there's always two chiefs fighting over first place. The two snakes on the top of the medical staff represent that. So when the other rooster takes control, he lets you have first place, but starting from second, he's reprinting all his evil ways to the rest of the group that become his little soldiers and behave according. They all start excluding me, closing the circle in my face, avoiding me, not speaking to me. I'm a little Christ kind of thing. And then the Virgin Mary, when I was sick, she's never sat with the devil. Nobody ever fucked her or played with her mind or manipulated her. Or if they have, they didn't do it psychically. They can do that. This may seem very weird, but telepathy does exist. So you can whistle words into people's mind, and when you're at the right spot. And then what they often do is give you commands in order for you to behave and speak in a way that won't hurt or change them, and that will protect them in a white way. The white are like that, are right wing also. So whatever is wearing a white shirt is often a fascism supporter. Or what else? So it's easy to know when you have a narcissist or a fascist in front of you, or a Nazi that seems to be what seems to represent Nazis. Nazis look like they're doing motorbike rides, and fascists are doing Alfa Romeo and Lamborghini rides. Because on the choppers, they got the Iron Cross that Hitler would give to his soldiers, his SS officers, I mean. And what else? SS officers, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it reappeared on some really nice, classy motorcycles that are called like a war helicopter. So they kind of, if you think about the effect that it has, half of what it does is kill and destroy and take control of and monopolize and try to privatize everything so that they can charge on everything, that the state doesn't own anything anymore. That's a bit the optic of fascism, is helping and selling out property, government, state, and transforming it into private service for their friends that have companies. Capitalism and democracy politics is kind of all criminal. It's just that it looks not criminal, but it's a criminal game, politics, as far as I'm concerned. And there's something else that's also accepted worldwide as normal, but it's totally a criminal game. Capitalism, I think, or banking, I don't know. So yeah, so in order to, the economy goes well, and basically what fascism does and nationalism is it'll cut the cedars or the maze of trees. It'll cut them all nice and straight. So that whenever there's a spud or a bud sticking out of the wall, well, they cut it. So that can be some compared to some sort of whenever one sticks out of a group, his head is taken off, and the group is re-leveled. There's only one that rises above. It's the alpha master. But often there's a sigma hiding somewhere, playing with the alpha master's mind, and sometimes he's acting on the behalf of the sigma. So it's all a big mind game. You'll notice that when the chief is is caught off balance or something, the whole group goes dazed and paralyzed, and it's the alpha male that holds the cleanness of attention. But they don't have something as clean as the good night or some sort of Che Guevara, neutral kind of person that's not capitalist or communist so yeah, so what was I saying? I tend to so they're organized and they're trying to bring the system to the right, but the only thing wrong they're doing is, well, according to me, which is an anarchist, the only thing wrong they're doing is the bullying is the wrong way, and the victim is on the wrong side, because there's a way to do evil things and bad things and illegal things. There's a good way to do all that, and an extremist right-wing government is total criminal control of politics to the right, and its companies and investors and big money. So they both have the same goal, fascism and nationalism, and they both shut people out and cut heroes off with heroin, the heroes in. And that's bird language again. That's that secret coded word mixing or putting energy on a sequence of letters that when they go numb, they'll see them one by one, and the word will appear slowly by seeing the whole sequence drifting off on music, and it's showing you the order that was put into the message. That's another bird narcissistic alpha way to communicate. And in the picture, you can isolate the attention of an awakened one to a certain dot on the picture, while others will notice the thing. He will notice that the dot's position means whatever, and they have codes. And then it's like NoFX when they said pumpkin droplik or pumpkin droplik. That meant drunk in public, pumpkin droplik. But that was to kind of show people that that's how they communicate, with posters and vinyls and CDs and art, paintings. So sorry. Uh, so they need a way to communicate, and it's that bird language or that context. And a lot of normal people, non-gangster people, most of those people under that system and that has that fear effect on people and this fear pull and push of fascism and nationalism. What? Keep on forgetting. Something's telling me to forget. The fear factor. So they're yeah, normal people. A lot, and then you can almost be sure if the woman was overweight and round. Most of them, I'm not saying all of them, and I have nothing against those women personally, but they would tend to all have been pierced and open-eared and open-eyed and awakened with their glasses and earplugs, making them hear stuff inside their heads coming from other people, or being able, they can even start questioning you in a way that you spill all of your truth out like nothing is there, but you just can't help yourself, and you're telling this whole story to them that can read your mind. And that's why they want supremacy and monopoly. It's always a quest for power and respect and prestige and luxury and a lot of artificial, just good-looking, flashy-looking stuff and values that they valorize and give importance to, that makes incredibly dumb people and awkward, badly behaved people with a lot and way too much influence just because they have the budget and they own the stations and the newsstands and this and that and whatever information the people get. So fascism is also controlling information. It's anti-hero because it's cutting whatever sticks out to make a nice straight tree wall. And it's keeping people collaborating and working for the system by giving each person a dirty job to do and a dirty role, which is to get rid of the Good Knight or Batman. So, and they're never stop. Even the ghetto followed. They never stopped after the Second World War. There's just companies and multinationals took over. They became the new modern Trojan horses that run off with all the profits to a paradise reserve where they don't charge serve taxes and stuff like that. So they run away with most of the state's money somewhere else. And then they invest from the exterior or something. I'm not an economist, but it's just like, it's not, they should reinvest in the country where they made the money. That would be a lot better. That would be the best way to be right in this kind of society, and leaving the money where it has been implanted and to the country that printed it. So it's all a question of power, and it's this hard on they get when they're in total control, because people will actually really obey what you say when you're on top of the food chain, and when you're on top and have some sort of a master position, you have the power to change people's behavior just by pronouncing words. They totally skip what they were doing and start off on this new plan all of a sudden. And you can just cling, and make them do what you want. They still decide what to say in that, but a lot of those words are inspired by a little invisible voice and being tapped somewhere where most likely this type of paragraph should come out, approximately a bit like that, you know. So they have some sort of freedom, but they're actually working on a program of the influential alpha master. So as soon as you have a narcissist, you're almost sure to have a fascist or a Nazi. Because whenever you talk to these narcissistic manipulators of racism and politics and extremists and Nazism and all that, they go, yeah, yeah, and they accept and they smile and they're totally in with that. And but they're not saying they are. They're not saying they're not. They're just totally happily accepting the fact that is, well, it's something bad or wrong, and it's kind of weird, you know. But they're always on this other mission. First is to dominate you. If they can, they'll stay underdog, or they'll adopt a rat attitude or become a woman if they're a guy, or the woman position themselves in a different spot inside of you because you become a host for these narcissists. They all look for cool marginal people and drug addicts and this and that because they're free houses, free block apartment buildings. And then inside that, they can get up to the control center and get people doing and working for them, for their values. And then what they were doing is controlling by guruism. I used to say kangaroos because kangaroo have the boxing gloves, but it's not a can like from Cobra Can from China or Japan or something. It's a kangaroo as in camp guru. The guru of the camp takes over, and they're always the ones that are the most correctly corresponding with style, with the values of the movement they're in. And they have every single patch in order. And their colors are right. And nothing's wrong. And they look, and it flashes a tad more than everybody else's costume. And they look really good. And they'll have the mohawk shining, rise and shine. And but all of that time, they're plugging people around with toxic personalities and people that are dependent. And every good night is transformed into an alcoholic or a drug addict, or they're in this downward spiral tunnel that brings them to completely destroy themselves. And then they keep them separated. There's this jag that always comes in and they have this whole system separating good people and separating good couples with a motherfucker. Fuck is the way they do it. By fucking the fuck button. But now we're the fuckers. We fuck the screw. So we don't have to be so much as scared, but they can still change things from inside. And if they take control of your mind, well, it's very hard to get rid of that influence and disobeying something you're commanded to do, because you can dictate. And the people that are actually happy to do it, they'll just happily continue in the way they were directed and continue believing in this and that, and the story builds up in their head, and you can make them believe anything. They were starting to make them believe they were real angels and this and that. And no, I'm an angel too, because I flash and get blink. I blink when it's a word that's said. So they're all organized and talking on this bird language, and they have special keywords that become keyholes for us. If we say that word, they're constantly losing their pants. So fascism keeps you from speaking when you're a Johnny. When you speak like John, when you're innocent, truthful, virtuous, reasonable, respectful, and correct and innocent, kind of spontaneous. You're not thinking about nothing. You're just saying something, you know, and as honestly as possible, and it's your real self and all that, you know. So I went too far in that explanation. I lost what I was talking about. Yeah, you just talked anyways. So you got to be careful what influence and where things take you, because you can change what your needs are, because you'll tag with your eyes everything you want or need or liked or love with love. And so your brain remembers where it's at when your heart asks for it. But they can see what you're focused on, or the last thing you focused on, by speaking or making a noise when you're open like that. And they see what you. So that's why I always hide in a hazy spot where there's just a haze appears. So there's nothing on particular that. If whenever they touch me, they make it up here instead of on whatever last object I looked at or woman I looked at. So they're clairvoyant. And now the left wing has instruction and has gone to school, and a lot of people will be learning that narcissistic manipulation, but not being narcissistic, with this new anarchic system that's in people's mind, showing signs and awakening them slowly to make them pay attention to this and that, and to codes and anagrams and code language and special words, effective words, everything. And by gaining a black gown or sweater and being impartial and non-judging and just with everyone and good, fundamentally good and all that, that puts you in a position when you have marginal values like punks, hippies, and activists and militants, is that puts you in a position to influence people up below. And that's them now. They're all below. So there are kids. That's what they say. They call those kids. All the kids are fascists. Because their behavior of with the bat, with the good night on the bat, is they're batting off the good night. So whoever protects, cleans, and guards, protects, cleans their society is taken down like a best. Like the nerds are being laughed at and then taken down because they're more intelligent than others, or interested in learning different things than others and good at it. So there's all these good elite that is targeted in a fascist system, because in order to take total control of the world, well, they have to be the king, the one king, and all that. And they have to have this dictatorial control and read my lips kind of influence on people below in order to be it's the same kind of thing of Egyptian, except you have the minimum wage. And it's the same pyramidal system with the front, the Masons did and all that, and the Cabal and Gnosticism. It's all very Christian related and alchemic related and hierarchic. There's hierarchy all over this church. Church is fascism because it's scaring people with the object that killed their savior. In fact, so would you? So they're basically scaring you in dying in a terrible way, in some sort of way. And that's what they're putting in front. Look at what we could do to you. Isn't that scary? Intimidating? And then you start getting, they blink an eye and you start getting burglary visits and people tweeting little messages from here and there every time you move an inch, and you start driving you nuts and bothering you, and then everybody looks like they're aggressive or violent or going to hit you. They have all these modes. They can transform the whole way people are behaving when they're in control. And that's what they want to do. But I love you, and I was made for loving you. So the I, the good, the upside down pyramid on top, where the people is on top in power and the president below. Like that's why Trump was so messed up and all robot moving looking kind of not even with his woman for a while. He kind of made it back, but he's just showing authority. He's a narcissist. It is a system fascist he's promoting. Canada with liberals. Liberals are still the nose in oil and pipelines, and Alberta oil and the worst polluting oil there is. And liberals are taxing for ecology. They're just bringing money in from ecology without even lowering anything. So it's a little bit of a right wing. Somebody told me left. I might be wrong, but the liberal is liberal. You don't liberate Al, but yeah, you liberate Al for the Allah and Al Jabri and Al Kenya and all the Al stuff that belong to them. At war, what Nazis and fascists do is they steal your holy symbols. They steal holy words and change the way that you say them and where you speak them and what you evoke by pronouncing the power word. Or because you learn how to spell at school. Spelling is a magical spell. So when they were on top, they could command and do magical stuff. And I wonder if they would just bring time back all the time, every time, and get stuff starting until they went the way they wanted sometimes, even. Because they're keeping people in that cage with Christianism. The Christianism behaved like a wolf pack and invaded and colonized it. Why would you want to spread your religion that much to other people, and if it's not to fuck and invade them and infiltrate, indoctrinate, and control the higher knowledge the priests would cast upon you, or some sort of battery of incantation and power, holy words and damn words and blah blah, and combination of elements, words that evoke certain elements more than others, and with this and that frequency at this and that area inside them on the tape, on the dough. They can write what the future is going to be. We can all do that when we're black and on top and good, fundamentally good and resistant. So people that speak of illness all the time to scare people are often fascists because they're trying to scare you. And then what else? What else does fascists and Nazis do? So they will have a redhead friend all the time, a redhead girlfriend, and you have lots of kids when you're with a narcissist sometimes, because and nothing works out for you. You have this tendency to have all these bad lucks all the time, and why doesn't anything work for me? And it seems like they're all cutting the grass from under my foot every time I come to step forward. You know, let's take 5 years, then give 15 back. Yeah, I gave too much years. I forgot what I was saying. So they can all command and change people's attitude. We can now. And people, a good, simple, and easy way to spot a fascist attitude is when freedom of speech is hurting. When people have something in front of their mouth, keeping them from communicating like they want honestly, that is the first sign when somebody is excluded like a scapegoat, somebody that they pick like a cannibal clan. Imagine if it would be Black Summer instead of Black Monday, and you'd have the hungry zombies everywhere. And then you end up in this group that are fascists. What do fascists do? They take the best and turn him into the worst, and break good couples, and invade cultural areas, implant drugs in all over society through church and and then and with a magic influence and possessing the Pope's mind, having even our Pope dictate stuff coming from them. Even the religion has been run from evil. I think from the first day, it was an evil influence at the basis. And then what happens is they exclude the best. That's Jesus Christ. So the church actually crucified Jesus. So it's a Christian that crucified Christ. It's a Christian. So Christianity is fascist. So a lot of Christians will act in a fascist dynamic. Some of them might not do evil things like most narcissists do undercover to manipulate and to kill the good knight. Some people won't go that far, but what they're advantaging and the sequence in what they've closed up and placed themselves is a sequence that will help people, will hold you dependent and wanting and needing something. It'll take your liberty, your freedom. It'll harass you. Something will get you messed up and, well, I can't think straight all of a sudden. Something's definitely happening because I don't have a clear state of mind. Stuff like that is when they're playing with your mind. But we can also do that now on the left arm, on the left wing. And the thing is the only problem with fascism is this fear and bullying. Bullying is the basis of fascism. It's shutting people up and excluding nerds and bests, making them lonely and miserable and homeless, and giving them problems with jobs and an anchor to carry all their lives. Then the stations of the cross are on earth. So they're very Christian, the fascists and Nazis. And they believe a lot in hierarchy and monarchy, kings and queens. Because when you're king on top, you can almost decide the weather it's going to be. So this bullying is what is too much because a fascist system, fascist instances and companies and this and that do have their place in a modern society or an anarchist society, because all it does is it keeps left and right from fighting and dominating each other. They more likely take the wheel each of their turn and left, right, a leg after the other, and try to keep some sort of central balancing people's interests, a 50-50. Everybody has the same amount of power, kind of thing, and then the only thing is you write bad night. Do everything you wanted or do or did or whatever before the revolution transformed. So whatever you did, well, you can still do. And I figure that we'd probably have less problems with drugs if it was legalized, and that whoever controls drugs would just be allowed to do it legally. Because in an anarchist society, there's room for everybody. And even if it's illegal, there's still tons all over the place, all the way up our nose, even when we don't do none. So, none. And I poke the nose on none. Yeah, right. So they'll be intimidating the wrong person. They should take the bad night out like that. The evil, that's pure evil, that always goes back to evil, no matter how you wash him, will always be the jealous one that didn't get what he wants, or that needs to establish this narcissistic alpha male control. Otherwise, they're not happy and they'll never let go. And they'll cut you and provoke you and do everything. They'll accuse you of something you haven't done, so in order to get you to start peeing all over and gathering information to please you better. Fascists and Nazis are infiltrating, are all in the underground and trying to global phagocytosis, like a white blood cell destroying a virus and just digesting by surrounding and fucking with it and dissolving what was there and turning it into fascism. So I'd say the opposite of fascism is anarchy. Because what you do is you attack the bad knight and the rat and the hypocrite. The even an evil person would not want to be stuck to trust an hypocrite and would probably never would notice such a thing and would not take them to any close help or position because they are hypocrite. So people that are not straight, there are some people that you just can't transform, fix, or written too much in their tattoos in their face that it always comes back and evokes those memories back. You just can't change nothing, you know. So that's when you're kind of allowed to start killing because they're actually killing the left. They were killing the left wing off, and the right arm was attacking and trying to fuck out of the way all the whatever was left and for the collectivity and all that in order to control the world and everything with a new world order. The new world order is fascism. The G7 is fascism. It's dominant countries controlling the economy of a trade that's done with less in control countries and weaker countries, taking it to their advantage. So that's fascism too. The Christian church is fascism. Christians are fascists because they all end up getting people like me drunk, smoking, and they all become evil at the end of the line because that's how you make it in society nowadays, by being crooked and hypocritic and opportunities making, and that means to step on someone to get ahead of him, basically taking an opportunity. But sometimes, okay, you don't squish them, but you're leaving someone behind trying to win and be gratified for something personally. So the race is a bit, well, you can get proof performance, I guess, with races, but the race has wrong letters, wrong word. You have to find a new something for race track and think of electric cars. Most of the oil and corporations are fascist instances because they're companies trying to take economic control. And then what a fascist and a Nazi will look like is practically like anybody with a really good reputation of any style that respects the style's etiquette religiously. And that is always there for you, will help you paint the whole apartment without asking for nothing, and will just get you out of shit and give you stuff. And the best friends you'll ever have are evil narcissists that are trying to kill you. Hearts and roses are fascism, and they are narcissists. The infinity symbol is because their kisses go over and over, and you just keep on getting kissed every time you meet someone. Your curse or your bad reflexes and bad habits come back all the time. That works for them. And that is an elite of a 1% that is going to take over everything, was going to take over everything, and that makes poverty go real high, skyrocketing. What else? And then middle class disappears, and then a minority, 1% elite and company owning and property owning minority runs the whole majority that's poor. So that's a bit what fascism can lead to, because it's so capitalist and commercial and market related that is a good ending for that is a Monopoly game. At the end of a Monopoly game, there's only one having fun, and everybody's just paying all the time. So, so that's a bit. Fascism is kind of everywhere, and whoever speaks of evil or hates is a fascist because they're evoking evil stuff, evil words that have negative effects. They'll talk about illness, but they're the ones that most sick all the time because they're always talking about illness to scare people or to try to give it to them. Because with some sort of word power, well, words do make illnesses. It's the maladie, evil that said in bird language. So mental illness also. That's why you can't. You have this crust in the tunnels that lead to the serotonin and dopamine. When we got in touch with dealers and the drugs environment with other people that do drugs and all that. So anybody that's gonna try to scare you or hurt you is acting in a fascist way. So he's trying to keep you from acting naturally. If somebody you cannot be natural with or don't feel well with is most of the time playing around with your mind without you noticing. Won't be honest with you. And beware the hypocrite. There was a couple of hypocrites that made it to the top and influenced the rest of the world and turned everybody into that couple that would just screw everyone around all the time and making it the only way to win to be a traitor or an hypocrite but that's not true. We grew a left arm now, and fascism can still. No, it has to become anarchy. Fascism has to start bullying the bad knight, whether he's good or not. He can be the worst, but if he's the bad knight, number one influence, that's who you bully, that's who you bat. And then whatever supports the evil knight, and it doesn't make you an evil knight to sell drugs. It's the killing and fascist attitude that makes you an evil knight. Somebody that breaks somebody's natural freedom with fear and destructive purposes is a fascist. Fascists are the first ones to try, like Pussy Riot, to try and provoke riots and revolts and violent vacarme, how you say, people rising, and riots are promoted by anarcho-fascists. There are fascists that are anarchists, but it's anarcho-fascists, which is a bit weird because they kind of tend to be the exact opposite. Because in anarchy, the bullying maintains a good order on the ground in an anarchist way in the mind and behavior of everybody. That is controlled by people, not one power. That's the only difference. It's not one president, it's people on top. It's the only thing. But fascism is still king of his realm. And being forgiven can still be king of the fascist pyramid below and dictate to whatever attitude to the people below, but he just cannot cultivate evil and egoistic purposes and to feed the ego with that. We don't need all those artificial needs, and everybody, those shiny Barbies that put car shine on their forehead, they're way too shiny. You see them in mid-darkness, and everybody's after them. They're too beautiful, too clean, too flashy, too artificial. So just by putting the values at the right place, people can have the right to kill and can kill every day, being united and collaborative with their right arm, but doing good by eliminating evil. and to closing evil's mouth with violence if needed. If they're violent, use violence. You're even allowed to be violent if you do it in a good, with a good afterthought to start with. And then instead of living off good people becoming pedophiles and end up hitting their provocative girlfriend that was trying to get hit, that end up being killed or beaten in jail, would be the bad night instead of the good night. So all that profit is still running, but it's running off people that kill, and somebody in power doesn't have to kill to get what he wants and to do what he wants. Just have to manipulate his way to make it how he wants. He doesn't have to use evil methods to be in power. So the narcissist and just boss the down pyramid and bat evil. Then whoever is a rat and a hypocrite and stuff that you being either even good or evil would not like to have a traitor. Do not put your trust in a traitor, whether you're good or not. So you still have a target, and that target works with other people. So people implicated with that target that is destroying values and keeping the holly away from the people and creating needs that we don't need just to get richer. Now you see that money does not make you in power. It'll give you an economical power, but it doesn't give you power to your mind. Something else can be running your mind. And after time takes effect, you'll just end up like Jello, acting like we want him to do. So, if you're a punk, the fascists and Nazis are wearing anti-fascist patches and anti-Nazi, anti-swastika logos. They're the first to wear those, because what they're doing, they're infiltrating and they're fucking you up by fucking you. They actually go sleep with you even. But by being your girlfriend, that's when they can feed you fat sugar and shit and make you smoke twice as much and bringing a whole bunch of bad things until you get fat and die of heart attack. They'll even do that for fascism and for the pleasure of killing and then controlling, to taking advantage of somebody's trust and whatever. So there's a lot of targets in anarchy that need to be killed, and the best person to clean up is an evil one, to maintain some sort of fascist order on the underworld, on the world of evil. So with that one, then the upper way is freedom, because they never do nothing wrong. So they're living through total freedom because they're not even interesting because of what comes below in doing the wrong. That's the power of anarchy. That is fascism upside down. You bully the bad night in anarchy, because evil has to dissolve and everything has to become of good purity. And good people, to protect themselves, can kill. So it doesn't make you an evil person to balance things out. And the same profit can be made in an anarchist state that what fascism and nationalism do with good people. You'd have plenty of bad victims to do that too. So just turn the pendulum around and keep the fuck doing whatever you want. We don't care. Drugs everywhere. We don't give a shit. There's ice cream stands. Okay, you don't eat ice cream all the time. Everything has its place in anarchy. So those fascists and Nazis are gonna look perfectly like someone that fits in physically to the environment where they're confronted. They'll be the most activists. They'll be carrying signs with activists. And a good way to notice them is their message are going to be double-bladed. Or they'll evoke something evil in a good intention, but it still displays an ad for that evil thing that's right in our face kind of thing. So that there's going to be kind of a ad effect in their messages that's evil or hated or dependent related or destruction of self related, because that was what would keep people uh, on that illegal stuff. It was a system, but put the same system on evil people. Why would you want to kill everyone? Just kill the evil ones. That'll make enough room. So don't be stuck on the wrong side when worlds collide. So the punk skinhead became the exploited singer that has a red mohawk and even has a green mohawk and looks like the good fellow that helps you out and all that. And he actually does help out sometimes, but there's always a poisonous hook at the end of any initiative they do. You'll start carrying a Mickey and having a sip every once in a while. After spending 6 months with the guy, you're gonna start liking that. What they do, they'll take their captain's couple and they'll get the captain plugged on love with pedals with sex giving girls. So, but that are a bit younger too. So and they feel love with them, but not with his girlfriend. So this, and then they're starting to interest her to me. That became this alpha master of the group. So they're trying to separate the good model couple. They should do that with the evil couple. And an evil couple would work because now people, the left wing, are going to start to see and hear. So you won't be able to, and they'll hear you and they'll know what you're doing to them, and they'll be equipped to defend themselves with that. So you don't have that much of an advantage anymore of being evil, because your evil will be detected in your thoughts. So you're better off going good that's allowed to do evil things. So that keeps you nice and nasty and respected and all that, for the effect that your crew, your gang, your mob, or whatever your empire, your legacy does for society would be something really nice. And since you're not in power no more, and I'm not in power and in either, uh, well, it would be the narcissist will be the copycat. It's they're they have the nicest Facebook. Never anything evil. There'll be that one taking pictures of you all the time and testing words on you. It'll be the one that accuses you of and takes the control of the discussion so that you talk as less as possible, because your nosy way of talking hurts their white aura or state of mind that gets them nude for every single word you say. So you kind of have a command power over them. So that's what they don't want. But they've been noticing, after letting them get changed and transformed, they've appreciated a lot more being of a good reputation, still having those evil powers, but that they seem to have freed a place in their mind that gives them happiness, and they seem like responsively glad of the change that has been occurring because of musicians and people playing on the pad with a microphone. So the influence instead of dictator is good, and making good out of whoever's on top and printing on the pad with their microphone, with their pen, writing right here. So when you write here, well, you develop ideas and equalitarian and respectful purposes. And then the right wing still sells fashion and beautiful stuff, but what's going to be sold is ecologically related, and all these good ideas that we're going to put on that love for you to invest and invent and create whatever. And keep on promoting self-identity and style. Style is important. and to express yourself is important. So people still need a right wing in some sort of way to express their difference and their unique status. And some people need to be commanded or ruled upon. So everybody, see, that in anarchy, you give everybody what they want. And you just put them in a certain order where evil is dissolved and loved away, kind of thing. After a while, because of the love you give to it, it will become and start liking what you like. So no matter what attitude you take to fight fascism, these narcissists are playing a game, and they don't care what is put on that love and what they become and what you make them like, because they know that since it's been loved upon, they'll enjoy whatever you put up there for them in the first place, because it's been said with love. And plus, they can't keep us from doing it because they're below. They're our kids, our sons of anarchy. So sons we are kind with. So the only thing that was lacking in fascism is kindness, is a helpful hand, is a water pourer, a verseau. It's something that's appearing, and then something that produces natural stuff and pesticides away and saves the bees, and it has all these cool missions with all he can do with all his cool money and whatever. You know, there's tons of stuff right wing can do without crushing left, kind of thing. Work together, and I'd seen that the only reason they'd stay right is because you were allowed to cheat and be a hypocrite and a traitor, and that you had this role that implicated them. But get people implicated in the same game that's just eliminating evil. Well, there's enough evil and corruption in society to get rid of. There's plenty of people to kill for overpopulation that are evil. Most people were becoming evil because evil was more powerful. And it would always win because of hypocrisy and domination and manipulation. So manipulate evil, swindle evil, steal from evil, wreck the evil couples, sell drugs to evil. You know, just do the same thing. It's just anarchy instead of fascism. And then there's a place for Little Italy and Little Germany also, and there's even a place for white pride, but they'll have to do their own principality and become independent of something and take control of if they really want to be below the food chain, because haters are underneath. It's the hate that measures your position in life now. So they'll often be hated.
Que vous ayez besoin d'aide. Voulez-vous que je fasse une recherche? Très bien. Dites-moi si je peux vous aider.
C'est quoi ton trip, toi? Bon, series wants to help. So it's been long enough. So that's what I think. Anarchy is a mind control and a bullying system that revokes freedom from evil. And it does not exclude state. It's just that it positions state below the people's interest, the people that have a good influences interest, that are truly resistant and helpful. So there's plenty to money to make up there. The transition will be slow, so you have time to change your investment places. So fascism was basically bullying and fear, and the Christian church. They look like anybody that's authentic. They even have this used up beard and with used up handmade rastas that look like a real true-born Rasta or punk, or they have the most studs on their jacket. They have the cleanest satanic clothes. Satanists are all like that. They have this power, and now they can show the world. We can kill the goat for you, but yeah, but we don't really need somebody with evil goals, because it can turn against the leader or the people or anybody, because it has evil goals. It can even turn against an evil master. Or a majority eating a minority because of no more pollination. So that would be a type of bully, a cannibalistic bullying coming from the people and the mass. You just have to. So that could be a black summer too. So we don't want that. So don't the ones that promote chaos and riots and destruction are often fascists. That they're the manifestation ruiners. They ruin manifestations. They dismantle good people, keep them from communicating. They get Mary and Eve fat so she doesn't look good. They get the other guys fat so they don't. The good nights fat or alcoholic or schizo on their pills they're putting all over. So just start selling pills legally and with prescription and just do whatever the fuck you were doing. It's just that it's gone to evil instead of good. Same difference, same proportion until evil dissolves, basically. And evil will dissolve. Might leave little stars, black stars here and there, but we're all loving them, so they're all becoming extremely good, the fascists. They'll be so lovable. It's that friend you'll miss the most once you broke up with. It's going to make you feel like that. And depression is that their system is called the System D, or the Tenacious D. And that system is a cancer. It's surrounding people with a zoo. It's Detroit. It's the Detroit Trojan horse spreading its warriors and hitting you from the inside. It's trying to. It's convincing our hooligans and our bullies to bully for evil that wants to control them totally and enslave them. They're being tricked. So leave the bullies good, bully the bad knights. That's what fascism is allowed to do. To be fascist with evil. That's it, that's all. Doing evil in a good way. So the narcissist is never wrong. It's always your fault. The fascists will do the same thing. They're very manipulative. They're mind control freaks. They're telepaths. They're clairvoyant. You'll feel slowed down with. They'll eat your batteries up. They'll hurt you. They'll grab you by the asshole. They'll play tricks on your mind. They'll give you spasms. They'll control your breathing. They'll command you a behavior that advantages them and their camp fury of Camp Fear. And then you'll see Jason everywhere and Friday the 13th and Freddy and all his friends playing for Slipknot up your ass all the time. And so do that to evil and it's okay. You're allowed and you won't be treated like an evil person. So that's basically what fascists do. They shut Johnny up. They shut good up and they persecute good and good couples and good families. They destroy family. They get people addicted and grab all the money, paralyze their finances. They paralyze businesses. They take economic control. They're punks. They're the ones that panhandle to look like a punk and make punks look dirty and on debauchery or on drugs and whatever. They have the worst reputation ever. Those are the fascists. The ones that are showing the worst example, but on purpose. The ones that are showing themselves so nailed out, so drunk and this and having so much fun being all hammered. That's one of the fascists, is showing you how to destroy yourself. The one that's breaking or vandalizing stuff, that's the fascist. Then what else? The one talking about knuckles or stuff that break, hit, or fall, or whatever, or need, or want, or expect, dominate, command, whatever. There's this authority that's present with some narcissists sometimes. Or there'll be this perfect little doggy that just obeys everything because they obey the brave. And we are the brave. So there are sons of anarchy, and they obey the brave. So never trust a fascist. They'll screw you over. They're taking advantage of you, and they're playing with your mind. and they look like the most authentic person there is and have the best reputation there is and are very noisy. It's always about themselves on Facebook and the selfie this, selfie that. I'm so nice and beautiful. There's no expression in their pictures. It's just pure beauty, empty beauty. Um, they'll show murder stuff, knives. They'll talk about pointy stuff. It's Chucky. It's Ronald McDonald that's bullying people with a Mick Irish fist with red hair. He's the goon that shuts Johnny up again. And then Pennywise, it from Stephen King. It's that clown that jokes around about hurtings and viruses and pointy stuff and things that discourage the resistance in speaking freely. That's a fascist that promotes that. The fascists will use a vocabulary of bird language that's negative, and they'll have these keywords that they'll repeat and try to sell you or make you learn. And then they'll give you the phone, the sex chakra, and then dominate your needs and make you believe that you're the only one affected by that, and start totally controlling your reactions in your whole entire world with that sexual chakra, feeling it as much as you do. But since you're thinking that you're dominated, he dominates. You're actually it. It is the king. So they're after it. They're hanging someone. They're crucifying someone. Those are the fascists. The fascists that laugh at people. Those are the fascists. The haters. Those are the fascists. And then some police are. Some of the police are fascists. Most doctors and rich and wealthy people are fascists. They all have the points on their driving license. They never did nothing wrong. They're the ones pressing charges all the time. They're the ones provoking, manipulating somebody to react how they expect and then to pursue them in court and take money from them or control over them. The ones that are using the law are the fascists. The fascism is all over the law. Fascism is all over politics, privatizing healthcare and this and that, and not giving enough to the people, and too low minimum wages, and this and that. So fascism is some sort of enslaved dictature dictated by Benedict, a blessed dictator of a church, and then a president that indoctrinates the non-believers and politically. This is a double indoctrination. And then it's all pushed by their TV stations and all that, and turning people into little fascist robots. The clones on Star Wars are true. But now everything's changed. Evil's being dissolved, and everything's been positioned in a position where evil will dissolve underneath good. Good will love evil, because I was made for loving you, and yin was made for loving yang, until it gets all black. So I'm starting to repeat myself. So that was my opinion, and fascists are everywhere, and there's a lot of them. Nazis. All gangsters are Nazis in some sort of way, or fascists. For sure. So not all of them are fundamentally evil and assholes. Some of them behave in a very good way and respect their surrounding and respect people, and they're not intrusive or nothing but control freaks. So control evil, persecute evil, crucify evil, make an evil example, quit doing the good night in Christ, flip it around. Natural selection is going to deal with overpopulation, and there's tons of evil people that can't be changed, that you can kill and make smoke and sell smokes to and all that. So I'm repeating myself. So yes, that was the story of what fascists look like and Nazis look like. And what they do is they infiltrate, they fuck the fuck button, and they mix and become like you want to manipulate you better. And they try to gain information and make you speak of personal things in order to be able to manipulate you and find some fears to manipulate you with, or to wander within your body and to find stuff that hurts you or you don't like. that you're going to start trying to avoid. That way they can make you look where they want, and make you notice only deadly stuff, and without even getting caught, just by playing in the dark. So fascists are very dangerous and very powerful, and they're all narcissists, and it's a cannibalistic behavior, and sacrificial behavior for evil rights also. It's the excluded scapegoat that would be sacrificed, or Jesus that would be sacrificed. And that's the good night. That's the one that helped. That's the one that gives you a nice coat right now, and that loves you and takes you to the land of I got what I wished for. So that's not as complicated with that. We're basically confronted to ourselves lots of times, and our ideal and our energies is reverberating around us and creating a reality that belongs to only us. So if we're positive, we get a positive reality. Fascists have to learn to become positive and to direct their negative energy in the right direction. That would create a better dynamic and a better economy and more happy people that spend more, and everything would be so good. So that's it, that's all. Peace and good revolution that never stops. Man, she took the motion. Okay.